What a crazy week of college football it was. This week, as I pick up my phone, insane week. A lot of games that came down to the last second, the last drive. I'm going to go through my recap, as obviously you can see by the title of this video. I'll tell you what I did. If you haven't watched my predictions video for the past week of football, then be sure to go watch that. It's 1:23, if you can see that. Because I just stayed up to watch the UCLA-Arizona game end, so I can make this video and put it out later on today, which is Sunday. So right off the bat, I'm going to start with the ACC, so we start our predictions video. Miami, Georgia Tech. Miami wins that game. They looked pretty good. Their defense looked really good, and they're undefeated still, and I got that prediction right. I went 5-3 in the ACC. That was one of the ones I got right. North Carolina beating Florida State, 54-yard field goal. Great job by North Carolina. Florida State basically title chances done. ACC championship chances done really too, with that now being 0-2 in the ACC. So big loss there for Florida State. Pretty big win for North Carolina. So I lost that one, 1-1. I won't say that every time, but Virginia Duke. Virginia wins that game. I had Duke after they went over Notre Dame last week, but Virginia came out, looked like the better team. NC State, Wake Forest. Wake Forest 4-0. Thought they could do it. NC State was like 1-2 coming into this game, but NC State comes out with the victory pretty handily as well. The big game of the week, Louisville Clemson, and great game. I made a recap video that came out late last night. If you didn't see that, be sure to go check that out too. But I picked Clemson in the prediction, and that is what happened. Fantastic game all around. If you didn't see my recap, go check that out. I recap the game a lot more thoroughly. Marshall, Pittsburgh. I went with Pittsburgh. They won. I didn't really look much into that game. I figured Pittsburgh would win it. Boston College, Buffalo, similar situation. Boston College wins. Notre Dame, Syracuse. I told you guys when I was making my prediction video that this game was going to be close, and it was fairly close. I believe it was like 50-33. Kaiser absolutely went off. I believe like 471 passing yards. Notre Dame won. I went 5-3 in the ACC, which isn't bad. I went 23-10 overall in the first time I've done this in week 5, which is not good. At least I want to lose somewhere from like 5-7 is my estimated goal. Oklahoma TCU, a very good game right there. Again, not one that I watched, but I looked at the final score, looked at some of the final stats, and Oklahoma 52-46 victory, I do believe. Almost losing their third game, which would have been big. Kansas State, West Virginia, 17-16 game. I did watch a little bit of this one at the beginning. Did not get to see the end, but it seemed like a very close game. But West Virginia comes out on top, which I also had. I went 4-1 in the Big 12 this week. Kansas, Texas Tech. I had Texas Tech winning, and they did pretty handily, I believe. Baylor, Iowa State. I had Baylor. Very, very good game there, coming down to the wire as well. Another last-second field goal that won them the game, and they came back from being 14 points down in the fourth quarter. And then this is the one where I lost. Texas, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State looked dominant. Their offense looked great. I think they have a decent chance of making it to the Big 12. There's no Big 12 championship, but possibly having a decent chance of winning it. I think Oklahoma State is going to be a fantastic game this season. Just by the way these two teams are going to shaping up to meet. I think Oklahoma State's a real contender in the Big 12 this year. Especially because I don't trust Baylor after today's game. I don't trust TCU just because they lost to Arkansas. And now they've lost to Oklahoma, so that's an end loss for them. So I don't know. I think Oklahoma State has a pretty good chance of at least being in the talks. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah. Wisconsin, Michigan. I voted for Wisconsin. I thought that Beagle was going to play, their linebacker. I did not know he was not going to play. I'm not sure if it would have made a difference, but I know he was like their key to their defense, and I had the reason that Wisconsin winning was because of their defense. Michigan came out there. They didn't look great, but they didn't look terrible. Both defenses looked really, really good. Or both offenses looked just really, really bad, but I'm pretty sure both defenses looked really, really good. And Ohio State plays Wisconsin in a couple weeks, so that should be an interesting game. Michigan, I don't know who they play, but yeah. Rutgers, Ohio State. Ohio State blew them out 58-0. I watched that game. There's not much to say. JT Barrett's the new Ohio State passing touchdown record holder. Purdue, Maryland. Maryland is looking good this season. I believe they're undefeated, and they dominated Purdue, and they may be a scary team. I believe Michigan's defensive coordinator is their head coach now from last year, and looks like he's turning that program around a little bit. Northwestern beating Iowa. I did miss out on that one, as I picked Iowa to win that game. Northwestern looked good in that game. I really think Iowa's a little over. I think they were overrated coming into the season. I think they were overrated last year. When they played in big games, they lost to Michigan State and they lost to Stanford, and they did not play any of the Ohio State, Michigan, or Michigan State until that Big Ten championship game in the regular season. That's why they went undefeated, is because they had such an easy side of the schedule. So if you're an Iowa fan, sorry. But I think this year they kind of hit back into realization with, I believe, 2 or 3 losses now. Minnesota and Penn State. Penn State wins. I have Minnesota because I'm pretty sure they were undefeated coming into this game. But Penn State looked a pretty different team from the past couple weeks, from the Michigan and the Pittsburgh week. And they look decent. It also could be because they're playing Minnesota, but... Indiana, Michigan State. I had Michigan State winning this game. This could be one of the biggest upsets of the week, as Michigan State's lost back-to-back games now, and they're not looking like a Michigan State team that we're used to. Indiana coming out looking good. I believe they won on a overtime field goal, so another just field goals at the last seconds of games, really kind of a big factor in games this week. Illinois, Nebraska. I had Nebraska winning that game, and they do. Nebraska is looking pretty good this season. I think they're going to be a tough task for Ohio State and or Michigan State, or Wisconsin, whoever plays them. Or, honestly, Maryland at this point. They're definitely showing to be a contender. I went 3-4 in the Big Ten this week, which is not very good. I definitely want to get better in that division. But I missed the top matchup, which are a little hard to predict. Pac-12, Utah versus Cal. I had Cal winning that game, and they did, 28-23 or something around that score. Utah's first loss. I think Cal's offense would get it done, and they did. Washington State beating Oregon. I think everyone was kind of thinking maybe Oregon would give Washington a run for their money after Washington blew out Stanford last week, but after a loss to Washington State, I'm not sure. Oregon State, Colorado. Colorado is a good football team. And if you're a Colorado fan, I'm not sure when the last time you were able to hear that was, but you guys have looked good. You guys dominated Oregon State, which I know is not saying much, but you guys played good against Michigan, and you guys are 4-1. I believe something said that you're in the south of the Pac-12, you are the top team. So you have a good chance of making that Pac-12 championship game right now, which is pretty crazy if you're a Colorado fan. Arizona State, USC. USC looked like a different team. 41-6 when I flipped over to see what the score was in that game, and immediately knew I made a wrong prediction. Arizona State beating California last week. I thought they had a good chance of beating USC because, USC just hadn't looked good against teams like Stanford or Alabama, and Arizona State did not look good. USC's defense looked good, and USC's offense came out with a different team almost. Stanford, Washington. I picked Washington, and I was correct by a long shot. I also posted a recap of that video game, a post-game analysis. My first never won, so if it's a little rusty, I do apologize for that. But anyway, I picked that correctly. Pretty proud of myself for that one. Arizona, UCLA. UCLA winning that game. I mentioned I just stayed up for that. This was the last game to finish. I had to see who wins, even though it looked like UCLA was going to be winning for most of the part. UCLA, pretty good game. Arizona State did okay. They've struggled with injuries this year. Arizona. They went through 3 quarterbacks and a couple running backs. And sorry if you're an Arizona fan, but injuries kind of plagued your season already this year. Texas A&M, South Carolina. Scary start with that first play. South Carolina getting a touchdown. However, Texas A&M responds, not dominatingly, though. 24-13. Definitely makes me question. And College Game Day is going to the Tennessee-Texas A&M game next week. And I think that's going to be a much closer game than I originally thought, because I thought Texas A&M was going to be able to win that game. But now I'm not so sure after today's almost loss to South Carolina. Florida Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt showed a good amount of fight. I think everyone knew Vanderbilt's defense was decent. I think everyone knew Florida's defense was good, and basically it was a battle of defenses similar to the Wisconsin-Michigan game, except for this one was kind of the baby brother of the Wisconsin-Michigan game. Florida does win 13-6, but Vanderbilt, if you're a Vanderbilt fan, I think you guys are moving in the right direction. just getting offense now. Tennessee, Georgia. I had Tennessee winning that game, and they did in crazy fashion. Post game analysis of that video I put out blew up with crazy amount of views for my channel that has no subscribers at the time. Anyway, so subscribe. But crazy game, crazy game. If you want to hear me talk more about that, I also posted a video on that. Alcorn State and Arkansas. Arkansas pretty handily won that game. Alabama, Kentucky, a little scary here. If you're an Alabama fan, as Kentucky was in it till halfway through the second quarter. Kentucky had a lead through pretty much the entire first quarter, which is saying something. Alabama's got to figure out its offense. I mean, we all know Alabama's defense is good, but their running game's not been there. You have a true freshman at quarterback, and I think Tennessee has a realistic chance of beating Alabama this year. Or just I don't know if Texas A&M plays Alabama, but if they do, I think Texas A&M has a realistic chance as well. Memphis, Ole Miss. I told you guys this game was going to be a pretty close one. I may have just woken up my mother, so I'm going to finish this quickly. Ole Miss, Memphis. I told you guys this could be a pretty close game. It kind of was, but not as close as I was thinking. Ole Miss with the victory. And LSU beating Missouri, putting up a SC for the team against an SEC team, a record for total most yards. With a interim head coach. I went 7-0 in the SEC this week. There weren't too many tough prediction videos, or predictions this week though in the SEC. Hardest one being Tennessee, Georgia, and I barely got out alive on that one. So, hope you guys enjoyed this first ever college football recap, college football week 5 recap. Crazy week in college football. Good amount of upsets, good amount of games. Most 2 of the top 10 matchup games did pan out to be great games, and then obviously the Washington-Stanford game. Hope you guys did enjoy. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to like, and be sure to comment down below your thoughts on this exciting week of college football. See you later.